Well, we thought it was a TV war before this came along. I mean, I was saying it too, that Vietnam, the first TV war, and you know, everybody said that, and it just sounded right. And in effect, it was, because you saw the war on television, but you didn't see any war live on television. I mean, that was the big difference. I mean, now the technology has advanced to the point where, you know, even before the gun is fired, you can almost see the gun being fired. It's very weird, and I don't even pretend to be able to understand it. I've sat here many times in front of television, especially in the early days of this war, and watched things and just been baffled, blown away. I don't know what I'm watching. I mean, I'm seeing, you know, people putting on gas masks and hearing air raid sirens. I'm sitting in the comfort of my home, and on the screen there are people in jeopardy who could die at any moment, and I've seen people on television die in front of my eyes, and the scary part is not so much seeing it. The scary part is seeing it and not feeling anything. I watched, this is before this war, a few years ago, I remember watching something in CBS Evening News, which, when it really came through to me, it was during the Soviet-Afghani war. I was watching a member of the Mujahideen, you know, he had been hit in some kind of a firefight with the Soviets. He was lying on the ground. This is toward the end of a CBS Evening News. And it was a story. He was lying on the ground, he was moaning, he was groaning. I was watching, he was moaning and he was groaning, and then he died. Next voice I heard was a guy selling razors. I didn't feel anything. And I didn't know, was it me? Was it something in me, or was it something that television had done to me? Well, I'm not one of those people who attributes all the terrible things in society to television, but I really do feel that to some degree television has desensitized us into some things, and maybe that's one example where you watch this stuff after a while, and pretty soon it has less and less of an impact. Even the war. I mean, I hear the air raid sirens now, and I'm saying, oh, well, another air raid siren. I hope none of those Scuds land. And maybe it had nothing to do with television. Maybe it was really an acceleration of the level of violence in our society in which public figures were the victims. Maybe it started with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I mean, when that happened, I was like everybody. I was just blown away to a degree that I couldn't even begin to articulate. But with each succeeding act of violence, you know, whether it was Martin Luther King, so on down the line, maybe the level of emotion and outrage maybe has been diminished. I don't know. And maybe television has helped diminish that through constant exposure. I don't know. I don't think any of us knows really the impact of this, you know, crazy thing here. And that's why I repeat what I say. It's just important for us to think about what we watch, and it's important for the people who run television, who have the within their power the ability to direct television and decide what goes on television, to think about the impact of what they do. You know, frequently those of us in daily journalism, whether it's newspapers or television, either constantly don't think about what we're doing. We don't have the time to think about what we're doing. We just keep going. We do it by rote. You finish one story, you go on to the next story. Television's the same way. You finish one day, you go on to the next. You don't think about what you're doing, the impact of what you're doing. And it would really behoove all of us, I think, to really try to, as much as possible, to take a step back and look at what we're doing.